We are back with our next panel discussion with the theme of insurance blockchain to play an important role in service delivery. Let me first invite our moderator for the session, Mr. Saurabh Chatterjee. He's the President and Head Technology Digital Sales Travel Agency from Bajaj Alliance. And now let me introduce you to our panelists for this session. First, we have Mr. Anand Pejavar. He's the President Operations IT and International Business from SBI Life Insurance. Next, we have Mr. Erant Tyrer. He's the founder and CEO from Ledger Tech from Switzerland. And last but not the least, we have Mr. Girish Nayak. He's the Chief Service Operations and Technology from ICICI Lombard. I would request all the delegates to keep posting their questions in the chat box, and we will address selected few questions at the end of the session. Over to you, Mr. Chatterjee.
Thank you, and good afternoon, gentlemen. Great to have all of you here, and welcome to the audience who are listening in or who are tuned in just now. My name is Saurabh Chatterjee, and I look forward to this very interesting discussion with the three gentlemen here. So let me start with the context. The blockchain has caught the attention of all of us, and while we still debate on the aspects of the cryptocurrency, legality, the smart and useful part of blockchain, which is the focus of this discussion, is the smart contract or the ledger, which resonates very loudly with the insurance industry. After all, insurance is a contract between the policyholder and the insurer. And we all believe that blockchain could play a huge role in delivery of insurance services in a country like India. So in this session, beyond the hype, let's try and demystify blockchain and its practical use cases in insurance across general insurance, life insurance, health, and of course with the enterprises. And we wanted to get a practitioner's view from our esteemed guests. So let's dive straight in. We have around 40 minutes. So what we'll do is we'll do a discussion of around 30-35 minutes, and the last 5-10 minutes we'll take Q&A. So let's start. Iran, let me start with you. I've heard your podcasts and minisodes on R3 where you mentioned that the pandemic has actually been good for you, and your company has gave the insurance companies the required push to go fully digital. And you have developed the enterprise framework for blockchain for enterprises. And I think you have talked about even the blockchain for motor claims with an Indian company as well. Apart from parametric and P2P. So I was just wondering, from your perspective, how do you see blockchain play a role in insurance service delivery? And can you give us a few examples where LedgerTech and your platform is helping enterprises in this journey?
Yes, sure. Hi, good afternoon. Nice to meet you all. So what we do at LedgerTech is we help enterprise insurance companies and agents to go fully digital. And we do it by providing a digital insurance framework based on blockchain that helps automate the all aspects of insurance. So from creating a new insurance product to distributing it either directly or through agents, underwriting process, claims management, and so on and so on. And we use the blockchain because it's a really good middleware that provides high level of security, transparency. What you see is what I see, eliminating a lot of the fraud possibilities. So it becomes really an inherent part of the whole insurance process. Now, the thing that we're using blockchain for is basically allowing customers, brokers and insurance companies and reinsurers to define new types of insurance policies. So it can be the traditional insurance like home insurance or motor insurance or life insurance. And it could be a more advanced type of insurance like microinsurance, such as parametric insurance or peer-to-peer insurance. So we're changing a bit the consumption model. And when I said that the podcast that Corona has actually been good to us, the reason for that is the push that a lot of insurers and agents got to go digital. In many countries, like in Japan, for example, the personal touch, the personal connection between an insurance broker and the customer is really important. They meet either at the customer's home or workplace or at the coffee shop and discuss their insurance needs. And suddenly they weren't able to do it anymore because of the restrictions. So we needed to come up with a digital solution that will help them pretty much do the same. We've embraced insurance agents and brokers as well, and provided them with tools that allow them to automate their business. Because if you look at a broker, he's basically a middleware himself between the insurance company and the customer. So we allow them to automate a lot of their day-to-day activities, which they were doing manually, and provide the customer with digital tools that give them an example, give them a good assessment of their insurance profiles, give them offers from various insurers and so on. So help them to consume insurance and to automate claims in a fully digital way.
Right. Thanks, Iran. I think this brings me to my next question. So while Girish, over to you, from the GI industry, you and ICICI Lombard have been a leader in that. How do you see, what are the use cases you see for blockchain in GI, and what is ICICI Lombard doing around it? If you could help us with that.
Thanks, Saurabh. I think in the GI industry, if you look at, there are plenty of use cases that are very ripe for using blockchain as a technology, because like Aaron mentioned, there is a whole lot of disintermediation industry. There are multiple players and a lot of information needs to be shared across these players, and a trusted way to share this information and manage these contracts would be a great solution. So we've at ICICI Lombard, we've actually, it's about a couple of years now, we've been having a live POC. We've got 4 other players from the industry who are participating in it. And it's on one particular small aspect of this. It's more a demonstration of what can be the potential. In motor insurance, typically, if you're rolling over the insurance, so if you have insurance from A insurer and you want to go to B insurer to renew your policy, typically the B insurer would need to look at what are the claims that are there, or whether there are any claims on your previous policy, so as to whether they give you the no claim bonus or make it to 0. Now, we need a real-time way to look at this. So we have blockchain based solution where every company, once they have a claim registered on their policy, they just put the policy number and the fact of the claim being registered and paid out on the blockchain. So at any point in time after that, if the insured goes to another insurer for renewing the policy, the next insurer knows that there is a claim on the previous policy, and he can negate the no claim bonus that has been approved. So this is a very simple use case, and there is a solution in the industry right now which is run by a central body called IIB, which maintains, but that database is not real time. It's data sent at a lag to the body, and they kind of update it. So we really don't. So if there is a claim in the last couple of months, usually it doesn't get kind of updated in the database at the right time, and so you need to do a recovery process post issuance of the policy. So this is kind of trying to solve that problem, so that you don't have to go into this issue of recovering from people who have claimed in the last 2 months of their previous policy. And this is working fine, but again, it's not scaled up beyond the company, because we need to have companies, more companies join on to this. But having said that, the possibilities are immense. I mean, health insurance is one under example where portability is allowed between insurers by the regulator, and you need to port with the previous all the policy benefits into the next insurer. So again, this is information that you won't want to share directly, but if you put it on a blockchain, it can be very easily accessed by the insurer when kind of porting on a customer from this. Apart from that, the whole co-insurance, reinsurance is a big space. I mean, you have multiple reinsurers on one side, you have all insurance on insurers out here, and then you have this whole broker community also in the middle who's getting into this space. So if you have the whole reinsurance put on or reinsurance contracts put on the blockchain, then right from signing off your slips to your paying out the broker commissions and even notifying the claims under the reinsurance can be all managed through the blockchain. So possibilities are endless. It's just how do we get this thing working? How do you put these structures in place is, I think, the question that we need to ask.
Sure. Thank you, Girish. That was covering the entire gamut of, from PNC and health insurance. So Anand, over to you, coming to you from the same question, from a life insurance standpoint, right? How do you see the possibilities, opportunities, and the use cases that SBI Life has done, have tried out in the past?
Thanks, Saurabh. Thanks for getting me on this panel. Life insurance, I personally feel blockchain is the solution for all the issues that life insurance industry has been facing for a long time. For a minute, I'll take you back to 2010, 11, 12, where industry was facing a lot of issues with non-disclosure of the health conditions in a life. Because see, there are certain things in life insurance policy proposal form which are very critical for us to take a very conscious decision on the underwriting of the risk. And if this information is not provided by the customer in the correct manner, it can lead us to a different decision on the underwriting norms, which can also have an impact on the claims when it comes up. So at that point of time, we were facing, as an industry, facing a little issues with proper KYC not coming in. The information provided by the customer was not complete. Disclosures were not correct. So it was leading us to a lot of issues. And that's the time when 14 companies in the life insurance segment came together in about 14, 15 and said that we should try and find some solution for this. Blockchain, the way it was being looked at that time, people were more talking about it for bitcoins and cryptocurrencies and all that, without trying to understand how it can be made use of in a much better manner for these kind of things. But these companies who came together, I think, were very clear that this is going to be a technical disruption platform in India if we can use it in the right manner. And that's the time when we divided the group into two parts, 7 and 7. And then we said, let's work out the proof of concept, because anything to be shown in a, which is innovative, which is disruptive, which is something which is going to create a change in the entire ecosystem, then we need to first see how it works. And then we looked at two separate platforms, because that time all of us who were doing work on this did a lot of research, took a lot of knowledge gathering from various sources, and then we came up with two separate platforms and then said, let's try these two platforms. Number one, because unlike any other financial product, life insurance is the longest term financial product available anywhere in the world. It starts from maybe 1 year, goes up to whole life. So it could be 30, 40, 50. We have seen even 60-year contracts being serviced by the insurance companies. So number one, we need to be very sure of the platform on the scalability part of it, on the robustness part of the entire thing as to how this particular thing works. So that was one of the ideas we had in mind too when we looked at these two platforms. And the biggest issue at that point of time was, how do we collate the information in the right manner of the existing policies? That time IIBI had not, it had just been started, but it had not taken the form which is today. So the exchange of information about customers' existing policy, whether he's doing shopping around, and whether there are some frauds which are happening and all that stuff, was very, very important. So the idea was, can we collate all the information from various insurance companies about a customer's existing policies, how many of them have been loaded or extras have been charged, how many policies have been declined, how many have been rejected, how many claims have been. So all this information, which is very critical for us from the underwriting of the risk point of view, was being looked at from one particular platform. And the other platform, we tried to see whether almost in the industry, 15 to 20% of the policies are medically underwritten. And these are all large sum assured sizes of policy where the risk is also quite large. And this is one area which we found that if I buy a policy from company A today, and within 6 months, if I want to buy a policy from some other company, at that point of time, we were asking the customers to undergo the entire medicals again. We personally found that it is not the right thing for a customer to undergo 100% of the medicals if he's a perfectly fit guy. So we thought, is there a central repository that we can, which can be created? And that was a time when this discussion on the blockchain was going on. So we said, can we create a blockchain? And where this entire information about the customer is available in the blockchain, and we can then, and these two POCs were done in 2016-17, and very happy to say that with the help of all the 14 companies and the technological partners whom we had, the experience was fantastic. The experience was fantastic, number one, and the results were very, very good. The results were very good. So as of now, it is at that stage of POC. Yes, today this consortium of 14 insurers have grown up to almost 20 insurers. 2 years back, even regulator took a deep interest into it, and we were called at the regulator's office to do a presentation on this technology. What is it? What is it that we are looking at? How is it going to help the industry? How is it going to help the various stakeholders in the industry, including the regulator, and then come up. And now, of late, in the last 2-3 months, I have also seen regulator very, very actively taking this up at the CEOs meetings on to try and see how blockchain could be instituted in India. I think it's going to be a huge, huge paradigm shift in the way how information is gathered, how information is stored, how information is used, and how various things that we see happening in the industry, both in life and non-life, can be taken care, and the pain points can be solved through the blockchain technology. So this is something which I thought
Sure.
I'll share with you.
Thank you, Anand. I think going on, let me just ask you a follow-up question on that. As we go along. So you talked about the POC, and Girish also talked about a bunch of use cases. All of us are very excited, gung-ho about this. Now, beyond the POC, how do we scale this up? What are the challenges that you see that how will it come mainstream, or what will provide it the required escape velocity as per you? You talked about 14 companies, 20 consortium, 20 companies coming in. That's very encouraging. But from a practical standpoint, beyond POC, how do you see this coming together? What are the challenges you see as
Yeah, that's a good question. In fact, in February 2017, I had conducted a half-a-day seminar on the blockchain technology in life insurance industry in Bombay, and we got very good support from all the 24 companies. In fact, that's the time when the number actually moved from 14 to 19. And we had also involved the regulator at that point of time, so that we could express our views and try and find out what are the views of the regulator. So there are 2 or 3 things which one has to look at. Now, these 20 companies coming together is a good thing, but how does the platform actually work? Who owns the platform? How does it work? What are the ways the companies are going to get benefited by sharing the information which is there? So there are a whole lot of points which we need to sit down, discuss, find out from the regulator. Another thing that has happened is, by the time this came up, IIBI has also taken full shape. The Insurance Information Bureau of India. They have all the information which is available. And as rightly said by Girish, it's a little dated because all companies are not integrated through API system with them. So it's not a real-time feed that the companies get. On SBI Life side, we were the first one to do an API integration with IIBI. So today we are getting real-time feed, as in when we do a query, immediately we get a feed. So, but all companies have not moved on to that particular stage. Now the question here is it a duplication of what IIBI is doing? Whether this platform can be taken over by IIBI and then run. Now, Girish and his team have already been doing a very good work as far as the general insurance thing is concerned. Now, once both of us were talking and trying to find out whether both these platforms can start talking to each other. So there's a huge amount of synergy that can be drawn by both life and non-life. All the medical information that I need from the hospitals and about a customer can easily be taken through the non-life thing which is already available. You talk to hospitals, they have agreed. Like I personally had a discussion with at least 3 or 4 large hospitals in Bombay, trying to find out their mindset, whether they would like to get integrated on this system in case if we think. And all of them immediately jumped. He said, we'll be more than happy to log in. I also had discussions with the reinsurers saying that this is a platform that we're looking at. Is, can something be done on this? Because as Girish said, if the reinsurer comes into this particular ecosystem, then this entire blockchain technology becomes very, very much enriched. Why that? I had a discussion with birth and death registry. Now, for us to do a claim, I need a death certificate, or I need to do a KYC, I need a birth certificate. Now, majority of the corporations in India are computerized. So today you get computerized death certificate and a birth certificate, which can be verified. Now, the same feed can come into the blockchain technology, and look how enriched it happens. So the customer is not unnecessarily bothered that you give me this document, you give me another document, this is a financial document, this is something. Because normally what we have seen even internationally when research was done is that people are generally driven away from taking life insurance unless and until it is mandatory, because of the process that you need to follow for life insurance. First of all, the form is 12 to 16 pages thick. Then the kind of information you keep on asking, and every company you go, you keep on filling up the same information again and again and again. So whether all this can be collated at one particular point, and then whether this can be accessed with the permission of the customer. And that is where the birth of the blockchain thinking in insurance industry, especially in life insurance, came through. So I feel that, yes, now that the IRDA as a regulator has taken this up and trying to find out how it can be done, I think Life Council themselves are discussing with it. The General Insurance Council is already very much into it. I think we should see something happening very shortly as far as the blockchain in life insurance is concerned. That's my personal view, and I'm very optimistic about it.
Sure. Thank you, Anand. Girish, moving on to you. See, it's often said, you talked about, right, various companies coming together, various use cases. Now, trust is an important factor, not just from a technology standpoint, but even various companies collaborating and various stakeholders. In an ecosystem model, this whole concept of shared value, it has to be clear in terms of what's in it for me, right? So how do you see this going forward, or in terms of and the next steps, or how it will come together with various, whether it's IIB, whether it's through the regulator, whether insurance companies collaborating together, or what are the challenges and some opportunities that you see in this? You're on mute, Girish. You're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah. Anand gave a very good picture of what the scenario is in the life industry, and a similar scenario exists in the GI industry. It's always easy going after Anand, so I can say ditto to everything that he says.
Right.
So, but having said it, let me just look at the different models you can have, right? You can have what Anand spoke of is the regulator induced this, which then everyone will fall in line and do it. That's a no-brainer. But even if someone like IIB were to do it, then it has to be again something that it gets initiated from there, and all other insurers have to fall in line. And then you can have different rates of adoption out there. And very clearly, the example which Anand gave on current way also. For example, some insurers are real-time connected to IIB through APIs. Others will do batch uploads, and their data will be dated. So that is it becomes an issue, right? The third model, and there are other models which you can look at, and look at, for example, what credit bureaus do for the banking industry, right? You have a third party come in, you have partners from the industry join in to and that kind of model in a way keeps everyone honest in terms of what each one is getting from that. This is well known. But again, if you want to look at that kind of model also, we need to figure out whether blockchain is amenable to that, because finally, if you're looking at the purpose we are looking at blockchain is kind of sharing data in a trusted way across multiple parties, be it a set of insurers or reinsurers or even the intermediaries. But in a civil type model, a credit agency also making money out of analyzing the data, the analytics that is there, which may not, blockchain may not be the best platform to do that kind of work. So we need to kind of think through what is it in it for the partner who comes in and fronts the whole thing, which, but I'm sure there would be other ways in which you could monetize, someone could monetize it. And really the idea is that while it's a value to everyone, unless you find a way to monetize it in a appropriate manner, which is fair and equitable to everyone, like the banks have done it with, we need to get to that model. And that's something that we need to, it's less of a technology problem, it's more of a financial structuring or financial engineering problem.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree with you. Maybe a little bit of intent and what's in it for me, that clarity around that in the long term is also an important problem. So thank you for that. Iran, moving on to you. So you heard all the insurers, right? I mean, big insurers on life, on general insurance, and I'm also from
Yes.
from the GI side. Now, I see the insurtechs and enterprise software companies, delivering blockchain solutions such as yourself have a very big role to play, not just in terms of in educating and trying this out, but actually proving out that this from a technology side, it is very simple and easy and scalable, to do that while we figure out the use cases. So how do you see, your Ledger Tech in that journey, and what has been your experience and what are the challenges you see?
So from a scalability perspective, the solution is definitely scalable. We have now the Ledger Tech solution running in production on Amazon Web Services, on Azure, and capable of handling tens of millions of transactions. So it is definitely production grade. We've seen a lot of interest from insurers in consortiums, not just in India, but also in Europe, in the US. For example, B3I in Switzerland, which is a consortium that puts together, I think, 30 or 40 insurers, and RiskStream in the US with a similar number of insurers kind of using blockchain as the platform. So B3I, for example, is focusing initially on reinsurance and treaty management and reinsurance contracts, but their aim is to create a network that all the participants will share, and that's the beauty of blockchain, because no one really needs to own the network. The whole point is that different participants can share information without a single point of failure. That's very important. I think that the way to make it accessible and usable by a large number of customers is actually to provide them with the tools that allows them to consume insurance over this network. Because if you look at it from a private person's point of view, he doesn't really care if you use blockchain or WebSphere or whatever. He just wants to be able to get digital insurance in an easy and cheaper way. And the way to do it is to cooperate, to give them to give a customer a wide variety of opportunities from different vendors. So the way it works today is kind of difficult, because each vendor comes up with a product that needs to look at underwriters, needs to look at reinsurers, and the whole process itself takes time. What blockchain can do is actually create a marketplace where insurers or MGAs define new types of products. Underwriters and reinsurers can bid for that, and the mass users can actually put pressure on getting better prices, while everybody wins, because the workload, the manual workload, and a lot of the back office work that it's done manually or semi-manually can be automated. So I think this infrastructure brings a lot of value into the industry, and we'll see it more and more in production.
Sure. Thank you. And no, I really do believe that it's a real ecosystem play where everyone has to come together, and a big role, not just from an insurance company. Obviously, we provide values to the corporate and the retail customers out there, but even consortiums like IABI, who's organizing this, maybe they have a very big role in putting that together in terms of whether a policy, whether recommendations, suggestions, and coming in as a neutral third party. So which brings me to my, thank you for that, which brings me to my last question before we take on some Q&A. So if we had a crystal ball for blockchain, we have been talking about blockchain, there have been successes, there have been POCs, some have scaled up. We do believe, things are very interesting in going forward. But if we do have from an insurance standpoint, sort of a crystal ball gazing for the future, what would be how do you see it? In any order we can take that. We can maybe start with you, Girish, and then go with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the easiest probably way to get blockchain implemented, and I think Anand will concur with me, is to get something done through the regulator or through the council. So that will be the, I mean, from regulator, it's the easiest platform. I mean, everyone has to fall in line, and then they could mandate that IIB does it or whatever. But I think that, to my mind, I mean, given the complexity and levels, different levels at which people are in the market, I think that's, to my mind, if we see a blockchain, and the first one will be something which would come that way.
Sure. Thank you for that. Anand, from continuing where Girish left.
Yeah, Saurabh, I am of the opinion that, see, currently we have two councils. One is a life insurance council, another is a general insurance council. Now, both these dynamics of both these products are completely different. Okay, one is a 1-year product, another is a long-term product, different category, different kind of claim settlement part of it. Documentation is different, requirements are different. I would still go by what I once mentioned, and again, I've been advocating this quite much, that IIBI does its job which it is supposed to do as per the mandate which they have. They do a lot of other value-added work other than just collating the data, because they give a huge amount of analytical support to the industry as a whole, to individual companies and all that stuff. So that's a wonderful value addition which they do. What I feel is that maybe the Life Council could take up the ownership of the life blockchain. The general insurance could take the ownership of the general blockchain. But maybe 1 year down the line, these two blockchains starts talking to each other. Okay, because there's a lot of synergy, as I said, between the two categories of insurance that we do, and then try and see how we can bring about this better coordination between life, non-life, and now the health has also come in. How we can bring this entire thing into the ecosystem. Then we can look at, as I said, the reinsurers, life and death registries, and whole lot of organizations which help us to do it. And I'm of the opinion that if we can get it done through individual life council, so they own the platform. Because today, as rightly said by you, what's in for me? Why should I share the data? Now, large companies will think my data will be used by the smaller companies. Smaller companies will think if I start using the data from the larger companies, I need to pay something to the larger companies. Instead of that, as rightly Girish said, if this mathematics of the financial engineering of how we share the information and what benefit does the industry derive, and how does that benefit be apportioned to various companies, if that can be worked out, I think this is a fantastic thing of the future. I'm very sure come maybe by 2023, 24, I am confident that we will see some definite position happening on the blockchain as far as insurance, both life and non-life and health is concerned. And this is going to completely change the way how things are sourced, underwritten, claims payout, fraud management, whatever you may call, right? From sourcing stage to the payout stage, how the entire thing is. As it is, COVID has changed a lot of things. A lot of things have gone into digital. I think this will only add to it to make a completely shift from what we are now currently looking at when we look at data and when we look at supportings to help us underwrite the risk or make the payment. So I am of the opinion these two working separately, but coordinating with each other and integrating with each other to help each other to get the right information will be the most suitable part of it in the system.
Thank you, Anand. Iram, over to you now. This was you heard insurers, Indian insurers, right? Talking about the GIC, LIC, and what would be from a global standpoint. What do you see, right, from global insurers, right, various insurers, how do you see the adoption of blockchain and what future holds for us?
I think blockchain is going to be more widely used. I don't think it's going to happen because the regulator will force us, because I don't think it's the regulator's position or need to enforce a certain technology. What the regulators need to do is to enforce certain standards, for example, API connectivity, enabling or forcing insurance companies to share data with the agreement of a customer, like banks in the US and in other countries in Europe are now obliged to do with fintechs. I think blockchain will become more widely used when there is a business implementation for it, or there's a market requirement for that. This is what we're trying to create. For example, we'll be launching in the next 3 months blockchain-based travel insurance solution in the MENA region. And we're using blockchain because of the advantages it provides, and not because someone forced the insurers that are participating in this initiative to use it. And then you can add parametric insurance to compensate for, let's say, flight delays and so on and so on. So I think that the pressure will come from the market, and when there are customers who are willing to buy digital insurance running on blockchain because it provides a better coverage or a better price or a better reach, then the insurers will join because they'll have no choice, not because they specifically like blockchain. And we've seen it in other industries. And if you look at what's happening in the US now, the valuations the digital insurance players are getting, like Lemonade or Hippo or Next Insurance or even WeFox in Europe, it's crazy. You take a company with slightly more than $100 million of revenues, and it's valued at $9 to $10 billion. A lot of traditional insurance companies don't get to that valuation. And this is done purely because of technology. So I think as the let's say the transportation market was changed with Uber, and as the real estate market is being changed with Compass, we're using technology as an enabler, I think the insurance market will change as well.
Sure. Thank you for that, Dinam. So let's take very quickly 1 or 2 questions. And one of the things just leads on to where you just mentioned. So beyond the insurance value chain use cases for blockchain that we all talked about, and anyone can, if you please are welcome to take this question. But is blockchain going to be a competitive differentiator in terms of new business models for insurance? Whether it be the general insurance, PNC, health, or life insurance is the question. So any one of you can, please.
I'll start if you don't mind. In some areas, definitely peer-to-peer insurance. As an example, which is basically going back to basics. If you remember how insurance started hundreds of years ago, a group of British merchants used to put money in a bucket, and in case someone's boat didn't come back, they would take the money. Peer-to-peer is pretty much the same, where you take a pool of people, normally with a certain interest that brings them together, like Harley Davidson Bikers Club or Classic Cars Club or so, and you share the risk with them. So they actually manage the pool, and in order to manage the pool of participants, they need consensus. And the best way to manage consensus is using blockchain. So they do consensus management around onboarding people, authorizing claims, and so on, while the insurer actually acts as a reinsurer. So let's say if I would ask one of you guys to provide peer-to-peer insurance, the ratio would move between 50 to 80% of coverage by the insurer, and the rest by the pool. And there are different models, but blockchain is a must for that.
Sure.
You guys obviously prove that selling life insurance or PNC doesn't require blockchain because you've been doing it since before computers were invented. So I think this industry will improve, but it's not a mandatory thing.
It's not mandatory. Girish, Anand, any thoughts? Blockchain creating new business models?
Yes, once when I had participated in one of the seminars in India, I had one panel speaker who was from Rajasthan, and he was representing the health ministry in Rajasthan, and he gave a very good information about how they have created a blockchain to manage the government scheme, the government health scheme. So now when I think more and more when government is coming up with these kind of insurance scheme, be it the Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana or the Suraksha Yojana or Ayushman Yojana, whatever it is name you call it, I think these could be a fantastic starting point for insurance companies to start this, because there are certain conditionalities which one has to, like, for example, if I have already taken a Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana from one bank, I cannot take it from, or other one insurer, I cannot take it from another insurer. So this helps us to even understand. Today it is done manually when we try to find out whether this person has taken, but this is something which definitely will help. But there are some lot of legwork with individual companies will have to do, at least in India. You know, when we did this POC, we found that a lot of work had to be done. In fact, 6 months, all of us, and full credit to all the 14 companies who did that. It's not one company who did it. Every company put in a lot of effort. Standardization of data is something which in India we need to first work on very, very hard.
Sure.
Because each company contains records in different manner, but when it has to come in the blockchain, it has to come in a standardized manner, in a particular format, get synced into it, and only then the right information is pulled. So I think that's something which the starting point will be. But yes, there are not on a pan-India basis. I have not seen any blockchain as such, but yes, it is there. I am also given to understand that Niti Aayog is doing some work on blockchain, because there is a person who was a part of this panel discussion in this conference who was representing Niti Aayog. And if that is the case, then I think it's a big stand which is taken, or a position which is taken by the government at the government level. So once people start seeing the benefits of this blockchain, whenever it comes and it is happening, like Girish and his team has already projected to the non-life insurance people as to what benefits it can give. I think it's a wonderful thing that will happen.
Sure. So I think we can go on and on, but given the time constraint, we have already been warned that we are over time. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for an engaging and interesting discussion. This is a topic where we see a lot of potential, and I guess the future is very bright. 12 to 18 months, and as Anand mentioned, 22, 23, right? A lot of interesting development will happen across the industry. So thank you, Iram. Thank you, Anand. Thank you, Girish, for joining us for this session.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mr. Chatterjee. And I would also like to thank all the panelists for joining us today for this interesting panel discussion. I would request all the participants to please stay tuned for other exciting discussion. We are signing off. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.